All right, today we're going to be talking about slope in y-intercept form. Some of you have the worksheet that's titled Study Guide and Intervention. The others have a similar worksheet, but it's titled something different. So if you have this worksheet, I want you to follow along with the examples. If you don't, I want you to go ahead and write down the examples. That way you have something to look at tomorrow when we go over this worksheet. Okay, so let's look at example 1. Example number 1 says determine the slope of the line that passes through 2, -1 and -4, 5. So remember our slope formula. Again, please write this down if this is not the same worksheet that you have. My slope formula is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. I saw a lot of you on your test accidentally flip-flopped them. So here I'm going to label. I have my x1 and my y1, and I have my x2 and my y2. Okay, so here I'm going to have 5 minus a -1 divided by -4 minus 2. Now remember, if I have minus a negative, what happens to that problem? That's right, it becomes plus. So 5 plus 1 is 6. That's where we get this 6 right here. And -4 minus 2 is a -6. And that's where we get the -6 right there. So if I divide 6 by -6, I get -1. So the slope of this example is that m is equal to -1. So what I want you to do is, using this example, for those of y'all with these worksheets, you're going to work problems 1 through 9 using this example. If you have a different worksheet, you're going to work the similar problems that have slope using this example as well. So let's look at example 2. Example number 2 says that I'm going to graph the line passing through -1, -3 with a slope of 4/5 or 4/5. It says graph the ordered pair -1, -3. So here's my graph. I'm going to go to the left 1 and I'm going to go down 3, and that's where I get my point. That's -1, -3. Now a lot of you have issues trying to use the slope in order to graph an equation, so this is what you're going to practice on. It says then according to the slope we're going to go up 4 units and to the right 5 units. We're going up and to the right because 4 and 5 are both positive. So here when I count up 4 units from -1, -3, and I go to the right 5 units, I end up with a point at 4, 1. So now that I have 2 points, if you see where the graph is, all they did was connect the 2 dots and draw the line. So you're going to use this example to practice with the rest of the worksheet. For those of you that have the worksheet 2-3 that says skills practice, example number 1 that I did for the slope, you're going to use for problems 1 through 9 on your worksheet. And for example number 2, you will use that example to finish problems 10 through 13. Okay, now for those of you that have the skills practice, let me show you one more example. Looking at problem 14 and 15, here it says I have an equation that passes through the line 0, 1. So just like we did in the earlier problems, you'll plot that point. But now it tells you you have a perpendicular line with a slope of 1, 3. And same with number 15, although this one says it's parallel to the graph of y equals 1. So I just want to review really quickly perpendicular and parallel lines. If we talk about a perpendicular line, there were 2 things that we had to do with our slope. Does anyone remember? We have to change the sign. So if it's positive, it's now going to become negative. If it was negative, it's now going to be positive. And I'm going to flip my fraction. Now remember, that's the same thing as saying opposite reciprocal. So here, if the slope was 1/3, it's now going to be 3/1. That's how I flip the fraction. And then again, for parallel lines, what do I remember about parallel lines and their slope? That's right, they are the exact same. So here, if I find my slope for the graph of y equals 1, I'm going to use the same slope in order to plot the points to get my new graph. And then the last one on number 16, I want you guys to attempt this word problem. If I talk about rate of change, what was another name for rate of change? I'm asking for slope. You need to know this information, so make sure that if you don't have this worksheet, that you write that down somewhere on your worksheet. Okay, so you guys should have all the examples. I want you to attempt to work these problems. We will go ahead and finish it in class tomorrow.